يا أبا عبد الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ما خاب من تمسك بكم أمن من لجأ إليكم يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا النبي المؤيد والرسول المسدد والمصطفى الأمجد والمحمود الأحمد حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين سفن النجاة الأعلام، من ركب سفينتهم نجا ومن تخلف عنها هلك وغرق. ثم أما بعد, respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Time is short, and today is one of the beginning of the biggest nights that we have, the night of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas salawatullah wa salamu alayh. So I'm going to go straight into the topic. As you know, yesterday we stopped at point number 4, which is absence of community programs that empowers our youth to strengthen the absence of community programs that empowers our youth to strengthen and understand their aqeedah. And I spoke at length in that regard as far as this point is concerned. Therefore, in our quest, I said, to protect our youth, we need to take the following into perspective. So I have 9 points to cover. Hopefully, inshallah, I'll be able to cover it by the end of the 10th night or the 11th night, inshallah, with your patience and your attentiveness. And I have to admit, you guys are the best crowd I've ever recited in front of. Your attentiveness is surpassing, is really. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Jazakumullah alfa khairin ala husn istima'ikum. Number one that we need to take into perspective is to develop relationship with the youth who are under constant external pressure to conform to the demands that smack culture of disbelief and meaningless existence in their face on a daily basis. If we cannot connect with our youth who are dealing with such challenges on a daily basis, the first thing that's going to go away from them is their aqeedah. Their faith is being challenged in this godless society, right? So we need to, and when we present God as a paradigm or as an alternate paradigm to the godless society that we live in, we need to present God in a positive light, right? Not in a negative light. We cannot afford to present God in a negative light. Right? My relationship with Allah should be based on that of want, not that of need. Right? That of I want Allah in my life. Right? I just don't want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be there so that He can answer my prayer only, or that He can keep away harm from me, or He does not challenge me as much. That doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. What matters is that I want God in my life, because without Him I can't survive. Imagine now, for example, here in Kuwait, let's the electricity go for 3 hours in this majlis. What will happen? You'll suffocate, right? A mu'min should suffocate without life. Then I should question myself. What am I doing with my life if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not part of it, right? If Allah is not part of my existence, because I am dependent on Him, not Him dependent on me. Meaning, what I'm trying to say, do you think your prayers affect the existence of Allah? No. My fasting? No. My alms, yani my charity, my khums, my hajj, nothing affects Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the one who said subhanahu wa ta'ala in his infinite wisdom, in his most profound words, he said, Antumul fuqara ilallah. Antumul fuqara ilallah. You are the one who are in need of Allah, in dire need of Allah. You are the poor, destitute one in front and before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because without you, without Allah, how can you even envisage to exist? Right? How can you even envisage to exist without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? In fact, Imam Hussein, someone came to him and he said, Ya Imam, can you, I have a problem like with my poverty. I can't bear it anymore. I'm suffering, you know, and I want to just let it go and do whatever I want. I want to sin. I want to do anything. So the Imam said, okay, you do few things and you think for yourself whether it's something that you want to do. So he said, Yallah, throw the first one at me. He said, make sure when you sin against Allah, you sin in a place that He cannot see you. He said, forget it. Give me the other one. Give me the other one. He said, try not to eat or drink from the blessings of Allah and go and sin against Him as much as. He said, where am I going to get food from? Maz yani? Even Maz belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And he kept telling him, do this, do this, do that, do this. He said, you know what, Ya Imam? I think I'm better off with Allah in my life. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. I'm better off Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being in my life. And you know, the last thing he told him, the last thing that really broke his back, not literally, I'm paraphrasing, yani, I'm just, is that he told him, ukhruj min wilayatillah. Allahu Akbar. Go away or make yourself withdraw from the authority of Allah. Meaning, ask Allah to relinquish His authority on you and you live under your own authority. And let me see how you're going to sort your affairs out. Can you sort your affairs out without Allah? He said, no. That I can't bear. Relinquish the authority of Allah on me and live by my authority, and I don't know what's going to happen to me tomorrow. He said, okay, then sort your life out. Go sort it out. If that's what you want. He said, no, I'm better off with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala under or over my, overlooking all my affairs. Number 2, look for trouble spots. Our youth may be doing well in school, I said that yesterday, or college, getting good grades and rave reviews, but appears to be obsessed with something or someone that collides with our values, right? We need to maintain these values in our children. The values of respect, the values of honor, the values of chivalry, the values of whatever. Something that represents a value that serves good for them and for the community. We must inculcate it in their mind and in their practices. Regardless if people reciprocate or don't reciprocate. You know what I mean? Yani if people acknowledge your goodness or not, it doesn't matter. Right? Because you are good because you want to be good, not in response to something good. And this is very important. Otherwise, why I say this? Otherwise, if everyone expects, or his expectation or her expectation, that I will only do good if the good is reciprocated, there will be no good in this world. Right or wrong? Right? Because you will be shocked at some people's behavior towards you, even if you are good to them. Right? So, when you deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you do the good to Allah, you will never ever be disappointed. Because you're not expecting anything from your fellow human being. You will be at peace with yourself. Wallah, wallah, wallah. Try it. You will be at peace with yourself when you do it for the sake of Allah. Not for the sake of what? Getting something in return. And you know what? If you try this across the spectrum of all relationship, you will come out a winner. Whether it is with your friends, whether it is with your colleagues at work, whether it is between husband and wife. You know, for example, I am a husband. because I expect my wife to cook for me, and if she doesn't, I stop to be a husband, that's a failure of relationship, right? I will remain a husband regardless. Whether my wife cooks for me, she irons my clothes for me, she washes for me, and by the way, she's not obligated to do any of this. Do you know that? Yalla, empower yourself, ladies, when you get married. Huh? I told you this is the last year for me in Kuwait, probably. Women are under no obligation in Islam to do the routine house chores. She is not obligated. Yani, what I'm trying to say, if your wife does that voluntarily, then you should thank her. You should appreciate her. You should say to her, you are the crown on my head or the agal on my head. Right? Right? Because she's under no obligation to do that. She's doing it out of her own goodwill. So don't take advantage of it. And by the same token, when the husband, for example, gives his wife extra holidays, right? Gives his wife the 3-4 bags of Louis Vuitton or Christian Dior or Muslim Dior. There's no Muslim Dior, sorry, Christian Dior, okay? Or he gives her as far as your food, clothing, and accommodation is concerned. But any extra that a husband does to his wife, it's also out of what? His good will. His goodwill. And he's not doing it, or should not be doing it, for the sake of getting something more from his wife in return. So basically what I'm trying to say, if the husband stops to be a husband, don't stop to be what? And if the wife stops to be a wife, don't stop to be what? Because you're expecting your reward from who? Nukta ala satar. Okay? End of the line. Huh? As they call it in American English. Period, bro. Period. It stops there. Right? It stops there. There is no argument about that anymore. So if we are able to inculcate this, and you know what? The school of Imam Hussein is all about this. Wallah al-Azim. Everything I'm telling you is derived from this amazing tsunami of values of school that we call, the Ark of Salvation. Didn't Rasulullah say about Imam Hussein that he is Safinatun Najat? Huh? The Ark of Salvation, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, man rakabiha naja, whoever rides on it or mounts it, he will be saved. These are the concepts that if you do in life, you will guarantee yourself what? Happiness, no depression, no anxiety, and you name it. You feel that peace within you because now your relationship is with who? Bas. End of the story. It's with Allah. It matters not what happens later. Where did I get this from? Listen to the words of Imam Hussein. He said on the plains of Karbala, تركت الخلق طرا في هواك وأيتمت العيال لكي أراك يا ليت الذي بيني وبينك عامر وبيني وبين العباد خراب. Allahu Akbar. Imam Hussein says in a verses of poetry, I have left the whole world to be in thy presence. And I caused my children to become orphan so that I don't be separated from you. I wish that as long as everything between me and you is intact, then it matters not what happens between me and the rest of the world. Ajib. Because now he's connected to Allah. What matters to him, his core existence revolves around what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the centricity that, that access point that to Imam Hussein means everything. خذ حتى ترضى. Salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. Number 3. Okay. At least I need 20 minutes for the masjid. We must talk to them. Instead of what? As I said yesterday, I got a question that really made me cry. When parents, maybe subconsciously, maybe they don't mean it, but maybe they don't know any better as well sometimes, you know. But we are in a world of 21st century. So our parents should really know better these days. What does the question say in the other majlis? Can my parents make dua against me and call me names and abuse me and say things to the effect, may the day you were born in never happened? Really? Is it that bad? And let's assume that child is that bad. Do you want to mess with Allah's plans? Look, who gave you that child? Bas. Accept it. Live with it. Say, this is my challenge. This is my challenge so that I can gain a better hereafter. Because if I remain patient on this akhlaq of my child or the challenges that this child is giving me, maybe Allah will give me a better place because I have not done enough. Look at it from that perspective. Is that positive or negative? Positive, right? You are gaining, you're not losing anything in that regard. طيب. So we must talk to them instead of rebuking them or putting undue restrictions. Emphasize the values they had learned earlier. How could they be better off by living life based on morality and virtue, and how their whimsical decisions impact their life later? Don't rush, don't hasten into unrealistic expectation. Don't hasten or rush into decisions that you may regret what? Later, right? Don't be someone who just goes with the flow. What does that mean? Imam Ali says, الناس ثلاثة أصناف. عالم رباني هذا واصل هذا واصل. You know, a divinely guided scholar. MashaAllah, this guy is connected. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, right? وَمُتَعَلِّمٌ عَلَى سَبِيلِ نَجَاتٍ. And someone learning, a student of knowledge, in order to save himself through the path of what? Learning. وَهَمَجٌ رُعَى. هاي المصيبة. The third kind of people. Imam says what? Those who walk with everyone walking, dance with everyone dancing, jump with everyone jumping. And when you ask them, why are you jumping? He says, I don't know, everyone is doing it. Ajib. Why are you dancing? I don't know. I saw this singer on the stage dancing, jumping. I jumped with him. But he's a fool. Why are you making a fool of yourself? Right? He is making a fool of himself. At least he has a purpose. You know what his purpose is? To take your money. When you go and attend his concert at $200 a ticket, what are you getting out of it? What are you getting out of it? You getting any thrills? Do you think that is happiness? To jump up and down for 3 to deploy your energy in something that would be beneficial to the world. After 3 hours of dancing, what have you gained? Or what has the world gained? You know the only one who gained is who? The concert organizer. And who? And the singer himself. Making his fat bank account bigger and bigger and bigger at your own expense. And my own expense, right? It's rational. You know, one of the biggest amazing sources of law in the Ahlul Bayt school of thought is aql. Aql. Intellect. Intellect. They tell you, for example, when a jurist, a alim, like a marja, discusses a particular matter, he looks into the Quran, looks into the traditions of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt, looks about consensus, and then he says, وَهَذَا مَذْهَبُ الْعُقَلَاءِ. Allahu Akbar. This is the school of thought of the intellect. Those who have intellect would do this in that way. Only those without intellect that would behave to the contrary. So that's the importance of aql in our existence. Don't rush into decisions that, for example, today at 12 you can decide to change your gender. Do you know what the consequences are when you turn 30? Do you know what they are? Ask the doctors. First and foremost, the fragility, you become frail as far as your entire bone system is concerned. Right, Dr. Salah? What do you call it? Thank you. Osteoporosis. I was listening to a doctor in Australia, female doctor. I would say, God bless her soul. You know, she was asked, can we in somehow, even if we try to change the gender of a human being, would it be possible to assume the identity of that gender that this person wants to choose? You know what she said? She said, and what are you going to do with the rest of the 80 million cells in your body that speaks male or speaks female? 80 million cells in your body crying out, I am a male. And you think you're going to change by applying makeup? Or fake, what do you call it, eyebrows? Not eyebrows. Eyebrows, they call them? No, eyeshadow. Lashes. Ahsanti. Lashes. My English is getting rusty, as they say. Eyelashes. Or painting your face with I don't know what. All these different paints. Ajib Allah al-Azim. Dig deep. Dig deep. Can you imagine? I don't know if I said this in this message, but can you imagine the culture that told us we went to the moon? His Highness Elon Musk wants to go to where? Mars. He's making a plane to take you to Mars. People are already booking, you know, on these trips. I don't know how much, 35 million or something like this to go to Mars on his plane. All this is happening, all this, and not to forget artificial intelligence now. Allahu Akbar. Tomorrow you'll see yourself playing, by the way, with Qadsiya or Arabi, and you're not there. You know that? That's what artificial intelligence will make you feel, that there is a player on the field playing and there is no one. There's no one. They made it up. All this is happening, for example, yet the West now, in an interview in the American Senate, a senator is asking a doctor in simple, plain English term, can you define to me what is a woman? She goes in circles, round and round and round and round and round. You do not know how to explain what a woman is. Ajib. And you want to take me to Mars? What am I going to do there? What am I going to do? Look at mountains of sand? حياك بالكويت يبا. الله حياك. نسوي لك أحلى مارس. نسوي لك أحلى مارس. Right? Mars the planet, not Mars the Snickers and equivalent to Bounty I'm talking about. Ahsan, Jazakallah khair. Great observation, bro. Great observation. Yeah, it's good because I like Snickers, by the way. But now I can't eat it because I'm on a boycott list.
Mars is like a gas, or it's like a gas.
Yeah, ahsant. You know your science very well. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Number 4, avoid stigmatization. We must be sensitive to their feelings, the feelings of our children, the feelings of our youth. Harsh words against them, their friends, or nitpicking on innocent mistakes that are so small, we make it so huge. So huge, right? Will lead to cementing their rebellious tendencies. You're not helping them. You're not changing them from being rebels to being what kind? No, you are actually cementing their rebellious attitude, because you know what their thought is? That no matter what I do, I can never get my parents happy. That's the idea that sinks in their head. So you know what? I might as well, bro, just give it up. Just give it up. If everything I do is being picked on, why would I do it? If there is no acknowledgement of the good and only emphasizing on the bad, then you are cementing that rebellious activity. You know what? In as much as bad behavior should be punished, in as much as good behavior should be rewarded. In fact, good behavior should be rewarded more than punishing them for bad behavior. Because that emphasizes what? The concept of what? Not tolerance. Tolerance is a bad word, by the way, brothers and sisters. You know that? What does tolerance mean? Who knows? Yalla, because I have to leave.
You don't like something, but you have to go through it.
May Allah bless the stomach that held you. Yes, it is what? It is. I don't like you, bro. I'm fed up with you. But because there is a law that prevents me, right? I will put up with you. You know, Islam has two concepts, which no religion has. One is called the concept of acceptance. I will accept you regardless. And there is a higher concept. I will not only accept you, I'll embrace you. Allahu Akbar. I will embrace you. Like Imam Ali said to Malik al-Ashtar, الناس صنفان إما أخ لك في الدين أو نظير لك في الخلق. People are of two kinds, either your brother in faith or you're equal. You embrace him as your human brother or sister. Right? Or you're equal in humanity. Not tolerance. We are a tolerant community. A tolerance community. Wallah, you're doing me a favor. You know, you're doing me a favor by being tolerant of me. Okay? Often boredom and lack of interesting alternatives lead our youth to explore other avenues. All right. Number 5, which I will continue tomorrow, is establishing underlying framework for action. How do we put in place a framework for actions when trouble spots are there? What do we do? How do we tackle it? How do we relate to it? And so on and so forth. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. الثانية على حب الحسين صلوات الله عليه. طيب, we have to go to the majlis. And today is the majlis of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. So please, don't spare your tears. Because this is something else. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas is something completely else. So, what do we have? This is how we start the majlis about Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. It's part of the ziyarah. He says what? أشهد لقد نصحت لله ولرسوله ولأخيك فنعم الأخ المواسي فلعن الله أمة قتلت ولعن الله أمة ظلمت ولعن الله أمة استحلت منك المحارم وانتهكت في قتلك حرمة الإسلام. الله أكبر. You know, this particular part, واستحلت منك المحارم وانتهكت في قتلك حرمة الإسلام. This part violated the sanctity of Islam by killing you is given only to two people. Two people. Prophets and imams. If a marja' dies now, is the sanctity of Islam violated? No. If I die, is the sanctity of Islam violated? No. But if a prophet dies, absolutely, it's violated. The imam in the ziyarah of his uncle, he says to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, on account of your death, your killing, Islam's sanctity was what? Violated. What position did Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas reach then? What position did he reach? Salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. That's why Imam al-Sajjad salamullah alayhi says what about his uncle? He said, رحم الله عمي العباس ابن علي فلقد آثر وأبلى وفدى أخاه بنفسه حتى قطعت يداه فأبدله الله بجناحين ليطير بهما مع الملائكة في الجنة كما لجعفر ابن أبي طالب وإن للعباس عند الله تبارك وتعالى منزلة يغبطه عليها جميع الشهداء يوم القيامة. الله أكبر. Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, my uncle has been replaced with two wings like Ja'far ibn Abi Talib has been replaced with two wings. And he has a status in Jannah that all the martyrs will be envious of. This is Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, salawatullah wa salamu alayh. So this is the majlis. لما لم يبق مع الحسين عليه السلام إلا أخوه العباس. When there was no one left in the army of Imam Hussein except his brother Abbas عليه السلام, he came to Imam Hussein. He's asking him permission to go for fight. He said, Imam Hussein, after crying immensely and profusely, he said, oh my brother, you are the flag bearer of my army. Al-Abbas said, I can't bear to see the children without any water in the campsite, and I would wish to go and fight these hypocrites. Imam Hussein Salamullah alayh, he said to his brother Abu al-Fadl, then go and fetch water only and don't fight the people, and come back with the water to the children. The one narrating the story of Al-Abbas says, فذهب العباس عليه السلام إلى القوم. Al-Abbas approached the other side and he began to admonish them and reproach them and said to them, the anger of Allah will befall you. Then Umar ibn Sa'ad said, is this Hussein son of Fatima? And then Umar ibn Sa'ad, is this Hussein son of Fatima? You have killed his children and his family and his companions. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas said, this is Abu al-Fadl, the brother of Hussein, and the children of Hussein are thirsty and their hearts are burning like fire, like charcoal from the lack of water. Then the people in the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad were divided into two, those saying give them water and the others saying deny them water. Then Shimr cried out, Ya ibn Abi Turab, O son of Abu Turab, if the whole face of this earth was water and it was under our control, we would not have given you a sip of it. Then Al-Abbas came back to his brother Al-Hussein to inform him about what he heard. He heard the cries of the children in the tent saying, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. Then he stood by the door of the tent to take his water bag. All the children came to their uncle. They began hanging to his feet and his clothes and saying, oh uncle, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. Then Zainab came and held him, and she said with a very sorrowful and weak voice, oh Akhi Abul Fadl, Al-Wada', Al-Wada'. Ya Nur Aini. Then he mounted his horse, he took the water bag and went towards Al-Furat. He was circulated by 4,000 fearsome warriors, but he managed to break through and get to the Furat and Euphrates. He was thrown by arrows from left, right and center until Abu al-Fadl was able to conquer them and go into the waterway. Then he alighted from his horse, fixed his banner to the side of the Euphrates, and he saw the water flowing. He took a handful of water in his hand. فَتَذَكَّرَ عَطَشَ الْحُسَيْنِ. He remembered the thirst of his brother, Imam Hussein, and he threw the water. Then he began to say, يا نفس بعد الحسين هوني وبعده لا كنت أن تكوني هذا حسين وارد المنون وتشربين بارد المعين. Then he filled his water bag, he placed it on his shoulder. Then Umar ibn Sa'ad cried out, cut the road in front of Abu al-Fadl. When he saw them, he took his sword out and he said, إني أنا العباس أغدو بالسقا ولا أخاف الموت يوم الملتقى نفسي لابن المصطفى الطهر وقى حتى أوارى في المصاليت لقى. They threw him with arrows until his back was like an echidna. Then Zayd ibn Warqa hid behind a tree together with Hukaym ibn al-Tufail. يعز عليكم يا مؤمنين mu'mineen, he struck Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas on his right hand. He severed it. Then he took the sword with his left and he began to say, Wallahi in qata'tum yamini, إني أحامي أبدا عن ديني وعن إمام صادق اليقين نجل النبي الطاهر الأمين. Then he began to fight them while the blood was coming out of his back. Then another person stood behind another tree. It is said this time that it was Hakim ibn al-Tufail. He hit Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas on his left. يعز عليكم يا مؤمنين. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas began to say, يا نفس لا تخشي من الكفار وأبشري برحمة الجبار قد قطعوا ببغيهم يساري فأصلهم يا رب حر النار. When this happened, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas took the water bag with his teeth so that they could not come to him or come to the water bag in order that the water would reach the children. Then they blocked his way and began to throw arrows at him. Awa Abbasa! One of the arrows hit the water bag. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas stood on the back of his horse, perplexed, not knowing what to do anymore. No hands and no water bag. And his back is like an echidna. While he was standing there not knowing what to do, someone threw an arrow. It landed on the chest of Abu al-Fadl. Wa Abbasa ya'uzzu alaykum ya mu'mineen. Another arrow hit his right eye. It blocked it completely and the blood began to come out of his eye. Then a man came from the tribe of Tamim. Ya'uzzu alaykum ya mu'mineen. He hit the back of the head of Imam Abu al-Fadl on his head. At that time, Abu al-Fadl fell to the ground. You know, I was reading this majlis once and I said, when Abu al-Fadl fell from his horse, normally a warrior when he falls from his horse, he gets the hand in order to support his fall to the ground. But I ask myself, how did Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas fall to the ground without hands? And then he cried out, عليك مني السلام يا أبا عبد الله أدركني يا أخي. The narrator says, فانحنى عليه الحسين. Imam Hussein rushed towards him, bent his back over him. When he approached Abu al-Fadl couldn't see. His eye is filled with blood. There is an arrow in the eye, in the right eye, and blood on the left eye. Abu al-Fadl thought one of the enemies came to him, but Imam Hussein was the one. He said, don't despair, oh my brother. It is your brother Hussein, salamullah alayh. Then Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas said to Imam Hussein, oh Imam, leave me here, don't take me back to the tent. He said, oh my brother, by the right of your grandfather Rasulullah, don't move my body from where I fell. Imam Hussein said, why, oh my brother? He said, for two reasons. Number one, I promised Sukaina the water. And I'm now without any water. And the second one, I want to rest where I died. Imam Hussein, he says, he's saying to him, or Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, Ya Khoya Hussein, khalini b'mechani. يقول له ليش يا زهرة زماني؟ يقول له واعد سكنة تراني بماي ومستحي منها. أجركم الله يا مؤمنين. While Imam Hussein is seated with his brother trying to comfort him, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas took a long breath. يعز عليكم يا مؤمنين. مدد يديه ومدد رجليه, and his soul departed from his body. Imam Hussein cried out, wa akha wa abbasa. What a calamity that had befallen Imam Hussein. It does not stop there, brothers and sisters. When Imam Hussein went back to the tent, crying and trying to dry his tears with his abaya, Zainab came out of the tent. She said to him, Aba Abdullah, araka raja'ta wahidan faridan. Ayn ibn walidi? Where is the son of my father? Where is my brother Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas? The narrator says he did not talk to Zainab. He went to the tent of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, entered the tent of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. It is customary among Arabs that when someone dies, they put his tent down. Ya'uzzu alaykum ya mu'mineen. Imam Hussein held the pillar of the tent of Abu al-Fadl. He knocked it down. The whole tent collapsed. Imam Hussein cried out saying, Al-an inkasara dhahri wa qallat hilati wa shamuta bi aduwi. Zainab came out to Imam Hussein walking towards him. She said, take me to the place where my brother lays unconscious dead. He said, oh Zainab, you don't want to see in what shape is Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. لا تشمتي بنا الأعداء. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. 5 times from the bottom of your hearts. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه. The last one from the bottom of your hearts with the loudest of your voices. أمن. By the right of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, and by the right of Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha, proceeded with salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.